there's names that you've heard again and again on this show. You start with Bo Bichette. Won't beat that to a dead horse, but this year, Bo Bichette just has not had a good season. He's hitting .237, an 80 weighted runs created plus. He's hit just 4 home runs in 66 games. So he's been 20% below league average. And he's someone that's not a rental, right? You would have him for the remainder of this season and all of next season. Defensively, he hasn't been great as well. There's some underlying numbers that indicate that he's due for some positive regression. His BABIP, which is a stat that also you look at his StatCast numbers. According to StatCast, he's barreling just 4.7% of the balls that he makes contact with. His previous low was 8.2%, and that was in his rookie season. So 4.7% barrel rate, that's down significantly. And then you look at his hard hit rates at 31.3%. The soft contact rate is a career high 19%. So not barreling up as many balls, not hitting the ball as hard. Soft contact is up as well. So unfortunately, the success just hasn't been there. The positive to that would be that if the Blue Jays definitely want to be sellers, if they want to be sellers, then the positive to that is the price would have to go down just a little bit. I mean, if he was having a typical Bo Bichette level season, then you were looking at a prospect capital cost that would have been extremely high, especially when you look at how teams need shortstops. Shortstops, they don't grow on trees. And you look at the Blue Jays, where they sit right now in their division. They're not going to win the division, but from a wild card standpoint, they're still somewhat in the mix. They're only 4.5 games out, and that definitely could change with a couple weeks of winning baseball. So I wouldn't say they're completely out of it, but they are under 500 at 35 and 36. But, I mean, this is someone who, in his last 5 seasons, he led the sport in hits 2 times. 2 trips to the All-Star game. He finished top 16 in the MVP voting. So anyone out there that thinks that Bo Bichette is washed, I don't think that's the case. I think Bo Bichette is in a bad situation, is not going to re-sign in Toronto. The Dodgers, they have probably already identified things in his swing that they could fix and get back to normal. So, yeah, I think Bo Bichette still would make sense if he was available. It's just, like I said, you can't buy a house that isn't for sale, and that could be the case if you're Andrew Friedman and the Blue Jays. But next one, obviously the best option, the number one option if he was available would be Willy Adames. And I hate to pour cold water on your Willy Adames dream, but I just don't think it's going to happen. I think that Willy Adames is not available. And there's a lot of reasons why. One, the Brewers, they're in first place in their division. They are going to win their division by a significant amount. Right now, the Brewers, they're 42-29, 6.5 games up on the St. Louis Cardinals, okay? They're going to win that division. And Willy Adames, he's the heart and soul of that team. And Ken Rosenthal, he said last week about Willy Adames, he said, sure, the team's offense would suffer. Its morale would too. But how exactly are the Brewers going to get through the season with their rotation in such dubious state? You got Woodruff out. You got Wade Miley. They're already out for the year. You got Robert Gasser might soon join them. Both are external free agent additions. Jacob Junis, $7 million, and Joe Ross, $1.75 million, are also on the injured list as well. So what Rosenthal is saying is that even though they're winning right now, he questions whether or not they'll have the starting pitching to do anything in October, right? And if you're the Brewers, Willy Adames is gonna expire, right? Willy Adames is gonna be a free agent after this year. Might as well try to get the prospects for him now, and then you can start that next wave. That's what the Brewers do. I mean, outside of the Christian Yelich's of the world, they really don't pay guys big time. And the Brewers, they need him. I mean, they just need him. So I still think the Brewers aren't going to trade him. You could slide Joey Ortiz to shortstop, but I just don't think that they're going to do that. But Willy Adames, he would be number one in my book. Not even just for this year, I would extend him. And even if Willy Adames doesn't get traded, I still would try to sign him this offseason. Right now, Willy Adames, an 8 outs above average. That's second to Bobby Witt Jr. The strikeout rate is down 25.9% to 21.7%. The weighted runs created plus up from 94 to 119. He's hit 12 home runs in 71 games and 309 plate appearances. That would be my top candidate. We got Abs Abstract says trade the whole farm for Willy Adames. Johnny Owen, Adames is not re-signing with the Brewers. 100%. Willy Adames is going to sign a deal similar to what we saw with Dansby Swanson. Similar to, I don't think he goes as big as Xander Bogaerts or anything like that, but I could absolutely see him signing a 6-year deal under $200 million, 175 to 180, something in that range. Tonio, would you be in on a Willy Adames trade if he was available?
I mean, I guess it depends who you're going to give away. I mean, personally, I'd like to see Miggy Rowe there, even Miguel or Gavin Lux at second just for a little bit, just to see how it goes. But personally, nah, I wouldn't want to see that right now. I think the cost would be too much, in my opinion.
So Tonio's out. Tony Tater says no to a Willy Adames trade. I just don't think he's going to be available. One player, one shortstop that I think could be readily available. He would not cost a ton. I don't think it would cost a lot of prospects to get this guy. That is Paul DeJong of the Chicago White Sox. This is not a deal that's going to force you to run to the Dodgers top of the deck store to buy his jersey or anything like that. He's not going to break the internet, but Paul DeJong is having a really quality season with the Chicago White Sox. He's slashing 240, 289, 480, has a 115 weighted runs created plus, so he's 15% above league average. The pros on Paul DeJong: plays shortstop, has pop, 14 home runs. His 14 home runs are second for big league shortstops behind Corey Seager. He's going to be a free agent after this season, so he's a rental. We know the Dodgers love adding rentals at the deadline. He hits the ball hard, 75th percentile in barrel rate, 71st percentile in hard hit rate. So whereas Bo Bichette, not barreling up balls, not hitting the ball hard, Paul DeJong is one of the better hitting shortstops in the league this season. Now, the cons of Paul DeJong: the upside isn't where Bo Bichette's is. The upside isn't where Willy Adames' is. He does strike out a lot, like a lot, 31.4%. That's the highest for qualified shortstops, and a 3.8 walk rate. So he doesn't walk a lot. He strikes out a lot, but he's a big league shortstop, okay? 0 outs above average. Mookie right now, -5 outs above average. His UZR 150, a -7.6. Mookie's is a -34. So defensively, he would be an upgrade to Mookie Betts. Offensively, he'd be an upgrade to Miguel Rojas and Kike Hernandez. So Paul DeJong to me makes sense under one condition. And that condition is he comes attached with a Luis Robert Jr. or a Garrett Crochet. We know the Dodgers like doing deals with multiple players. You saw last year, Lance Lynn, Joe Kelly. You saw Trey Turner, Max Scherzer. They like getting more bang for their buck. And if you really want to go all in, and I think that that's one thing that we are going to learn that comes from this Mookie Betts injury is this team truly all in on 2024? Because that's the number one thing we're going to learn. Are they at the poker table? Are they taking off the Rolex and throwing it in there? Their wife's earrings throwing it in there? The lien on the mortgage in there? Are they pushing all the chips in? Are they going to do that? Are they going to take some money out of the 401k and say, you know what? We want to win in year one with Shohei Ohtani. We want to take advantage of Freddie Freeman's prime. We want to take advantage of Mookie returning from an injury and still being in his prime. We want to take advantage of, quite frankly, what could be the last year of Clayton Kershaw and Tyler Glasnow pitching like an ace, and Yamamoto, hopefully he returns, right? That's what we are going to learn, because there's also a world where the Dodgers say, you know what? Just had some injuries. Too many injuries this season. Max Muncy goes down. Mookie goes down. Had 7 pitchers already, 7 starters that have missed significant time. Do we just wait until 2025 when Shohei Ohtani is going to be back on the mound and we can use him as a starting pitcher? And we have Betts and Freeman still. But hey, guess what? You might not have Teoscar Hernandez next year. You might not have Yoshinobu Yamamoto and Tyler Glasnow. I mean, we saw how everything can change with just one pitch. So I personally believe the Dodgers still have to be all gas and no brakes this season. You have to be as aggressive as you possibly can be, and you have the prospect capital to get a deal done. I think the big takeaway now with the Yamamoto injury and the Mookie Betts injury is there are no more untouchable prospects for the Dodgers. Love all those guys. They all have a lot of potential, but this Dodgers team needs to win a World Series now with this group. Okay, it can't wait. So if it's a Rushing, if it is a Cartai, if it's a Tyrone Lorenzo, if it's a Josue De Paula, it does not matter. Okay, those guys, they should not buy a house in LA. Okay, you should be renting at this point, because you could be getting that call that you're going to get traded because, look, you have to be aggressive. You have to take advantage, parades over prospects. So I think that's my number one thing is we're going to see how aggressive this team is because what has really changed overnight is when we were talking about a trade for a shortstop, that shortstop was going to take the place of possibly a Gavin Lux in the lineup, right? Now it's changed to you're looking for a shortstop to take the place of a Mookie Betts in the lineup for now and defensively as well. So it's the lineup offensively and the glove defensively. So if you're able to add stuff on the margins and swing big, then I think that you could see Mookie Betts and Yoshinobu Yamamoto return to a team that has an improved roster. And I hope that's the case. And I think Luis Robert Jr. still makes a ton of sense. John Heyman listed the Dodgers as one of 6 teams that are interested in him. I think Garrett Crochet of the Chicago White Sox, the prospect capital would be extremely high to get him because Garrett Crochet, you could argue, is one of the best pitchers, if not the best pitcher in Major League Baseball this season. I mean, Garrett Crochet is someone that has that kind of stuff that's going to play up in the postseason. Right now on the year, Crochet, 116 strikeouts in 15 games. That leads baseball. A 12.6 strikeouts per 9. That leads baseball. If Garrett Crochet becomes available, the Dodgers, they have to be one of the teams that's willing to do whatever it takes to try to get him because I think the starting rotation we've seen, we always have the debate, 6-man rotation. We always have the debate, who are they going to be leaving off the postseason roster? And then we saw what happened last year. Lance Lynn, who, by the way, just gave up another home run right now, was your game 3 starter, right? You just can't have that happen again. Can never have enough starting pitching. Now, as far as Garrett Crochet, he has 2 more years of team control. Next year will be his second arbitration year, then 2026, right? You're probably not going to pay Walker Buehler, right? Hopefully you get Roki Sasaki, but you get Garrett Crochet. Hey, who would you take right now? Garrett Crochet or a Bobby Miller, right? A Garrett Crochet or a Gavin Stone, right? Garrett Crochet is someone who has elite talent. And if you're not going to be able to add an offensive player, you could certainly add another starting pitcher as well. But now we're going to talk about the other big injury, and that is Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Yoshinobu Yamamoto, he's going to miss significant time. He was placed on the 15-day IL on Sunday. He strained his right rotator cuff. Now, I was at the game Tuesday, and I was walking through there. I'm looking down the field, and I see Yamamoto throwing, and I saw a lot of Dodgers brass out there.